This is Retro Sports Radio. Visit RetroSeasons.com for more sports history.
I once said you can observe a lot by watching. Well, back when I was a kid, the only way to see a ball player up close was listening. Don't quote me on that. Let me explain first. Growing up poor in Elizabeth Avenue in St. Louis during the 1930s, there were two kinds of free entertainment, playing ball and listening to the radio. Free was good in those days because time was tough. Sometimes on Saturday we got into baseball games for free. We would sit up at the top of left field stands at Sportsman's Park with the Cardinals and Knothole gang and root for Joe Medwick, Frankie Fish, and the Dean brothers. From the distance, you don't get to know the players too well. A lot of what we knew about big leaguers came from the newspaper and back of bubblegum cards. Where you really got a feel for the players was on radio. From play-by-play man, you would get little pieces of information that would help build a picture of a player. Franz Locks did the Cardinal games back then and also the St. Louis Browns. Sometimes ball players would read commercials. Sometimes they were in the interview. And man, how we loved it. They made a guest appearance on one of the big programs and hammed it up with the cast. Radio was still a big deal when I came up with the Yankees at the end of the 46th season. I went to some programs and did plenty of interviews during my career. They used to joke that I had a face made for radio. My best pal, Joe Gargiulo, made a nice living calling games on radio for the Cardinals after he retired in 1955. By then, television had started to take over and baseball and radio kept going on like old friends. I bet fans still listen to most of their games on radio, especially when they're not watching them on TV. That you can quote me on.
Yogi, I have a very pleasant privilege here tonight because in this current issue of Look, in their baseball All-America team, you've been selected as the catcher. Here is this Lord Elgin watch, which is really a very classy-looking deal, isn't it?
It sure is, Ed.
Well, while you're out here, Yogi, I was asking Sal Magley some baseball questions, some World Series questions. Now, how many times have you faced the Brooklyn in World Series games?
Well, Ed, this is my 8th World Series in 10 years, and this will be our 6th against Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. Now, in all of those series games against Brooklyn, what would you say had been is there such a thing as a one stick-out thrill that you remember?
In the series, I guess when I was the only man that hit the pinch hit home run, one of the first, anyhow, in 1947.
Who was pitching then?
Ralph Branson.
Poor Ralph, huh? Yogi, Sal, I asked Sal upstairs. I said, I'd like to ask Yogi a real good, sensible baseball question. And he said, why don't you ask him how does he catch all pitchers alike on the Yankees? Now, and he mentioned in particular the contrast between Ford and Johnny Cooks. Would there be a great deal of difference in catching a fastball pitcher and a sinker?
Well, there is, Ed. I usually go with the pitcher, like if he's in trouble, I'll go with his best pitch. That's what I've been noted as catching long enough. And like with Whitey Ford, I have to go to his curveball because that's his best pitch. And with Johnny Cooks, his sinker ball is his best pitch. So I go with his sinker ball.
I've often wondered, oftentimes you see a baseball game, you're sitting at home and watching it, or up at the stadium, you go into the catchers in a crouch. Say there are 3 men on base, there's one out, there's a real tough hitter at, and the catcher gets up and goes out and walks out to the mound. What do you talk to him about?
Well, Ed, a lot of people ask me that, and I always tell them this. I don't go out there to remind the pitcher that he's in trouble. He knows he's in trouble already. Usually we go out there and say, let's go. Let's get this man out. I have to make an early movie or I got a date somewhere.
So just to loosen him up and relieve the tension.
That's right.
Probably sometimes you'd walk out there to sort of slow him down. If you were pitching too quickly, you'd walk out there. Well, you have a pretty good book on the Brooklyn team because most of them you've caught against before.
Yes, I have, Ed. About the same bunch over there.
Well, we wish to all of the audience here, wish Sal Magley luck, and now we're going to wish you luck. How about a very warm hand for